I'll take Dr. Rajan Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to take a call on part one of this bill. And really, Mr. Chairman, the clause that tells us what this bill is about is very clearly stated. It says it's about housing affordability, and the rest of the bill is not about that. In fact, Mr. Chairman, I would have thought that the two members of the government who have taken calls, and includes the minister so far, would have really justified these provisions and explained to us how it's going to achieve, they are going to achieve the objectives of this bill. And the minister hasn't done that, and neither has the chairperson of the Social Services Select Committee. In fact, what we've heard really is filibustering, not filibustering, but really deriding, blustering. The minister understands perfectly. And in really doing what the minister has done in his other portfolios, to wit, ACC, create such a sense of crisis with the figures and expect everybody to believe it, and then in a very short period of time, Minister, like in ACC, there wasn't really a problem. But the damage has been done. The damage was done. It's the same kind of approach here, and other ministers have used this as well in social development as well. But we know that what is being designed here is what is the very thing that's failed. It's the housing market that has failed. It hasn't worked. It hasn't produced the number of houses required. The minister can say as much as he likes about the previous government, etc. I'm not particularly interested in that, Minister. I'm interested in your performance, Minister, over the last 5 years in this particular area, and no affordable housing has been built. What the minister has done is presided over a crisis. So the housing market is failing, and it's the only bit, there are only two things the minister has addressed: the availability of land and regulations around buildings. Only two things. Materials? But the minister ought to know, and I'm sure he does, that there are a whole bunch of other things that actually contribute to making housing affordable. They have not been addressed. How does LVR address housing affordability? The minister hasn't answered the questions posed by the member for Mangere in terms of what's affordability, and whether that family from his electorate will on $20,000 be able to afford a house. These things won't work, and the minister knows they won't. And so here we are, presiding over a time when the houses have gone up in Auckland, prices like $700,000, and a lot more, 30% increase. And the minister's rather cynical explanation during the first reading of this bill around affordability, well, it was cynical. The minister said, well, of course, the new developers will build the $700,000 houses so that people from the $300,000 houses could move into them. Well, that's what the minister said, and I think that's a cynical approach to take. But what should have been happening here was to actually address the whole range of things that contributes to housing development, and that has not happened. So it actually is failing Kiwis, Minister, and in terms of getting them into houses, the very thing that contributes, as we know, to their well-being. So here we are. The housing shortage is rife. Affordability is a problem. Costs are high. But no, those things are not being addressed here. How is it, Minister, that by making land available at the periphery of Auckland, which is what the provisions will be, that is actually in the short period of time that people need houses, will build those houses? It won't. The reason why the minister has addressed this problem in this way, because that approach actually favours the developers. It favours those who want to build expensive houses in those subdivisions, in those areas outside. Like Hobsonville. That member was part of the government that would not let affordable housing be built in Hobsonville. I remember very well the Prime Minister saying, not in his backyard, not in his electorate. And that still is the context within which these provisions are built. I don't live very far from Hobsonville. I've gone and seen the little ones that have been built every now and again. But Minister, well, is it that many? Well, on that note, I think there are some very, very good SOPs been put up by my colleague Phil Twyford, where he actually is beginning to address the notion of affordability in these particular areas. There ought to be, Mr. Chairman.
Calling Brendan Horan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.